Go ahead, whenever you're ready.
Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to our library committee meeting. We are live to the internet, so YouTube. So that means everybody has to behave themselves. So make sure you mute your phone or device when you're not speaking. In an attempt to speed things up, we have assigned a mover and seconder. I will read these out. We will utilize the controls available to us for voting, yes or no. For video callers, if this fails, I will call on the clerk to conduct a recorded vote. Each counselor will be called upon alphabetically to verbally state yea or nay on each of them. Regardless of the voting method, I will then state the result of the vote. At any time you want to speak to a matter, please raise your hand to identify yourself first. So we'll have Terry do a roll call.
All right. Chair Armstrong.
Here.
Councillor Foxton.
Present.
Councillor Nowak.
Present.
Councillor Shantz.
Here.
All present.
Thank you very much. Are there any declaration of pecuniary interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act? Seeing none. So we can start with the reports. And the first report, 3.1. Who's going to take that? So are there any comments? Laurie McDonald is available for questions on the reports. Seeing no questions, we'll now start with a vote on, Councillor Shantz.
Thanks. I had trouble finding the right hand to put up.
Well, you can use your left hand.
I did. See, guys,
Okay.
I couldn't find the right one. Just a question on just a reminder for me of what we do with surplus funds. Is that normal that we just put it into the reserve, or would we consider like paying off some of the debt on the new building that we have, or do we have a bylaw, I guess, that says this is how we handle surplus?
I don't know if there's a bylaw per se, but the debt is actually funded out of the DC reserve. So we've left the DC reserve with ample funding in there so that it can handle those debt servicing costs. And our past practice has been the library surplus goes in the library capital reserve, where the regional surplus goes in the general tax surplus reserve. So that's why we put it in your library capital reserve.
No, that makes sense. I didn't remember that all of those capital costs were coming from DC. So thank you.
No problem.
Any further questions? Seeing none, we'll now start the vote. Recommendation that the regional municipality of Waterloo allocate the 2019 Region of Waterloo Library operating surplus in the amount of $41,668 to the Library Capital Reserve as outlined in Report COR TRY 20-22-1 dated June 16, 2020. Moved by Councillor Foxton, seconded by Councillor Nowak. There's no further comments or questions. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Hey. Okay, okay. So the next item is PDL Lib 2001, and Sheryl will comment on this report for us. Morning, Sheryl.
Good morning. Thank you, everyone. You have the report in front of you. It briefly outlines the steps that the Region of Waterloo Library will be taking in response to the directions from the provincial government for safe reopening steps, as well as what's been outlined by Council. The Region of Waterloo Council did approve on May 26th that we could proceed with opening as of June the 1st for curbside. Not opening the branch to the public yet, but starting to offer curbside service. Yes, Mayor Foxton?
Just a comment that yes, and the curbside's been approved, but should they go to a full opening, you'll have to make sure the municipality has allowed the building to be open before we proceed in that way.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes, Mayor Shantz?
Thanks. Have you started the curbside already?
Yes, we have. In fact, following the discussion of this report, I do have a small PowerPoint presentation that speaks to what we have done since our doors were closed as of March the 17th, a quick look at how that's impacted circulation, how we've pivoted to offer online services, and a brief comment about our curbside service, which is incredibly popular. We've been running it since June the 1st. Patrons, I must stress, are not entering the library buildings at all at this time. It is completely safe distancing, and you will see a screen to give you an idea of how that does take place. And we've serviced hundreds of patrons. We'll have the details in a later presentation. So thank you for asking. We have launched it, and it is incredibly popular.
Well, that was going to be my question, so I look forward to the PowerPoint. Thanks.
No further questions there, so Sheryl, you can go ahead with your PowerPoint.
Thank you. I'm going to share the screen if that's okay with everyone, and please bear with me while we go through these technical challenges. All right. As you know, on March 17th, under orders of the provincial government and Region of Waterloo Council, the Region of Waterloo Library closed its doors to the public due to COVID-19. This presentation takes a look at library services during that time. So by the numbers, in March of 2020, we closed 10 branches and 3 satellite locations to the public for public health reasons due to COVID, for safe distancing. 48 staff were laid off, 9 staff remained supporting library services. On June the 1st, 2020, 10 staff were reactivated to help support library takeout. What was the impact of closing our doors to the public for physical library service? Let's look at circulation. You can guess that people began to pivot to our online resources. So when you look at the circulation of DVDs last year and our streaming online services of Hoopla and Canopy last year, and you look at the numbers for the same few months in March through May of this year, you can see there was an uptake with Hoopla and Canopy, our streaming services. Not enough of an uptake to make up for the difference in what we would have circulated in actual physical copy DVDs. That will come in later in another presentation in this, another slide in this presentation. An interesting point to make is that from March 16th to April 26th, there were over 2,000 Hoopla blocks. Now, a Hoopla block comes into play because of funding. We have X amount of dollars invested in Hoopla, which limits how many people can actually access that resource. With discussions with Lori McDonald, myself, the director, we increased funding to our Hoopla online resources, which means 0 Hoopla blocks. So if you had taken the Hoopla blocks in March through April and added that on to circulation, you could have seen that we could have circulated more. We did address that issue with additional funding, and there was public uptake. So what was the impact on our circulation numbers for, again, you can guess that people pivoted from print to our online ebooks. So you can look at what we normally would have circulated in print, a little over 24,000. plus what we normally enjoy in our online ebook circulation, a little over 16,000. Compare that to the 2020 numbers. And again, you can see, as anticipated, an uptake with ebook circulation. The big story here on this screen is the jump in our print magazine to our e-resource press readers. So that's our online electronic magazine. So you can imagine that we would have that uptake with people not being able to access the physical magazines. What we saw was incredible. It more than made up for the difference with not circulating print magazines. People love our press reader. People can get hundreds, literally hundreds of titles electronically, download it at home on their DVD or on their devices, and we have seen a huge increase. Great opportunity for us. Little caveat with the numbers. Pre this year, Download Library expressed their statistics to us with including holds as well as actual downloads. Starting in March of this year, they removed that hold number and they just gave us the number for pure downloads, what people were actually using, downloading, and reading in terms of ebooks. So if you take that and reflect upon the 2019 numbers, that number was a little bit artificially inflated. We can't change that because that's how the data is presented to us from the company. So if you take that into consideration, the spread between electronic resources in 2019 and 2020 would have been a little bit greater. Having our doors closed to the public gave us the opportunity to try unique initiatives to reach people. One of our big stories is the Seed Library, or as we like to call it, the Seed Stampede as it became. Last year, we started our Seed Library in our branches and circulated 510 seed packets. Now, what our Seed Library is, people could come into the branch, take packets of seeds, up to 5 packets, plant, enjoy. We ask that people harvest some of the seeds to bring them back to the library so it's a sustainable resource for us and the community as well. So compare the number in 2019, 510 packets, to what we distributed in just a couple of weeks in May 2020, 680 seed packets by mail. The other interesting comment is that as people were discovering us online, because we were going online, talking about our seed library, that it was available by mail for anybody who was interested, we actually gained in 1 month of May 85 new members because the public was discovering the Region of Waterloo Library. They were writing into us, they were calling, they were emailing saying, can we become members? So we added 85 new members in 1 week, thanks to our Seed Stampede. Another new service that we launched is Ask a Librarian. You can go online, you can email, or you can phone. The important aspect of the Ask a Librarian service is the phone aspect. One thing that people have missed so much while our doors have been closed is that personal interaction with their librarians. As you know, in rural settings, community is number one. That relationship building is so important. And not being able to talk to your favorite librarian and ask for reading recommendations was a gap that we identified. So by offering a phone number, people can call in, they can actually talk to a person instead of just going online and get personal reading recommendations. We are now using the Ask a Librarian line for people who want to set curbside appointments to pick up their holds. So since the launch of the service on May 11th, we've had 71 patron contacts asking for reading recommendations, tech support, etc. This is in addition to all of the appointment bookings. Social media is, I believe, the biggest story we have to present for March through May. The interesting point I want to make about this chart is we're comparing our social media presence for all of 2019 to just a couple of months in 2020. And in those couple of months in 2020, we outperformed our entire year of 2019. So what this says to us is a couple of things. Previous to this, we were promoting using posters, hard copy. People were coming into the library. They were picking up library information inside the library. We weren't necessarily reaching outside our 4 walls. With the doors closed, we had to pivot quickly. find ways to reach outside our four walls to where the people were. And so we looked at social media, and with our small team, we became an online media presence. You can see how we've increased our followers in Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We've increased followers, posts, tweets, and engagements in just a few short months. We've also leveraged email with eBlast and being able to send emails out to over 14,000 patrons to give them up-to-date information about library services. So we're getting the word out there. We've also been able to pivot to online programs that are engaging, interactive, and unlimited. I like the word unlimited in here. Normally, our programs in person are limited to the number of people we are allowed into our libraries and our meeting rooms. Online, it's an unlimited number. We've enjoyed the launch of Dungeons and Dragons. Finally, we found a program that teens love. We could have teens signed up every week for Dungeons and Dragons, whereas offering an in-person branch program, they're not coming into the library, but they live online. We've offered quarantine series. We've leveraged the use of hashtags so people are discovering our events online by popular hashtags. Our Reader's Advisory is being offered online as well. Our top 3 online programs so far: Making History, 3 Ways to Keep a Journal. We've reached over 3,500 people with that program. How to Make the Most of Our Online Resources. This was a Twitter and Facebook posting. We've reached over 2,800 people. And the biggest reach so far has been RWL Shares Its Online Resources. That was a CTV news post that we did in conjunction with CTV, and we've reached over 44,000 people to date with information about our library system, which is pretty amazing. We're also leveraging social media to build community relationships through Facebook connections. You can see here a list of some of the organizations in Wellesley, Wilmot, and North Dumfries. We've connected with these community groups. We share posts, they share our posts, and it's building stronger community relationships and a stronger community online presence. As part of our community relationship building, we've shared resources. We shared our program resources with child care centers. These are child care centers that specifically cared for children, frontline healthcare workers. All the items that we loaned out to them are easy to clean, safe for kids to play with, and the items will be coming back. But these are items that were sitting on our shelves, not used while our doors were closed. We sent them off to the child care centers where they could be used and enjoyed, and we're bringing them back when the time is appropriate. We've shared our discarded magazines with seniors at Sunnyside Home. We also packaged up items that were earmarked for outreach events, such as the Wellesley Home Show. That outreach events were very limited during this time period. We were not able to engage the public, obviously. So we've taken those resources, we've made resource kits, for example, distributed them to the Wilmot Resource Center as family support for literacy, and also to let people know about library services. What were some of the results of our social media presence being increased? Our community relationships increasing online? This, I think, out of all the slides is the most fascinating one. If we look at last year's membership numbers, March through May, we brought in 315 new members in person and online. With our library doors closed, March through May 2020, we brought in 323 new members. With our doors closed, we actually brought in more members through our online presence.
Makes sense.
Now we come to the slide that Mayor Shantz was asking about, our curbside pickup. We call it library takeout. This is getting physical items into the hands of the patrons. As you might recall from the previous slide when we were talking about the difference between print circulation and online circulation, there was still that gap. We see that there continues to be a demand for actual hard copy items, whether it's printed books or DVDs. Before we opened on June 1st, or I say opened, before we started curbside service on June the 1st, we had over 8,000 holds on items in our collection. People were still wanting those physical items. So for the first week of June, 810 items were checked out through curbside, 226 patrons served. Last week, second week of the service, we checked out over 100 items, 252 patrons were served. We see this number increasing. The appointments are consistently being filled. We are now looking at the need to add more appointments to schedule. People can book appointments by going online and using our online calendar or calling the phone number you see here with our Ask a Librarian service, actually speaking to somebody. We will book the appointments for them. The appointments are scheduled every 15 minutes. That allows the public to arrive, pick up their library material, and leave without having a lineup at the door. The service is structured such that people get the email notification or a phone call. Their holds are available for pickup. They contact the library to set an appointment. When they arrive at the branch at their appointed time, they show their library card through the door to the librarian, and then they step back. You can't see it in the picture, but there's a big orange traffic cone and a flag. You can't miss it. There's yellow tape on the ground that they step behind. The librarian opens the door, puts their library items out in a paper bag, steps back behind the door, closes the door. The patron walks up to the door and picks up their items. So you can see it is totally contactless, safe curbside delivery for library items. And it's growing in popularity. All of our locations, have been checked by our health and safety staff to ensure that we are within guidelines, and we have received health and safety clearance. So this is our opportunity to try different hours, such as Mondays. We're offering public service with safe distancing guidelines, and we're slowly introducing services. This allows us to track for performance and value. The interesting thing is it's almost like we've disassembled some aspects of library service, and now we're slowly building it piece by piece so we can do it in a thoughtful manner. As we add new services such as curbside service, we increase appointments, we add hours, and we add staffing in support of the anticipated workload and demand. It is a thoughtful approach to library service so we can strategically position our resources. Gotta say, this last slide is my favorite slide from the AIR branch. So how we engage people may have changed, but the enduring demand for our services has not. This is a photo of a note left by an AIR library patron on the door of the AIR branch. The library was an essential service. So I will leave you with that thought. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
Well, thank you very much, Sheryl. It's very, and I'm very happy to see how redundant the libraries are. Any comments or questions?
That looks like Sue Foxton's handwriting on that note.
Sue's not even listening, Joe.
She missed that one.
Sorry, Joe, what I missed?
We're talking about you.
I said it looks like your handwriting on that note.
No, I think mine's a little smaller, but isn't that a sweet gesture?
It is.
Yeah, it is. Very much so. So anyone else have any comments or questions on the information from Sheryl? Seeing none. So that's,
I think Rod had his hand up, or did I miss something?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that COVID-19 obviously rocked everybody's world and changed the way that we deliver all of our services at the region of Waterloo, or at least those that are public facing. And the library, in my view, did an exemplary job of, to use Sheryl's words, pivoting and moving their services online and continuing to remain relevant and in fact enhance services in some respects during that period. I think it's a testament to the creativity of our team there and the support from the community that we were able to pull that off. And I'm really pleased with the way it turns out. I think it actually bodes really well for the definition of library services in the townships moving forward, because it demonstrates that we have a lot more to offer in terms of engaging the community in online service delivery. So.
Very good. Thanks, Rod. Good morning, Helen.
Sorry about that. I had some technical hiccups, so sorry I was late.
Well, you missed a good meeting. No, it was very, very good, very informative, and I'm sure you know everything that was said. So thank you very much, Sheryl. That was very comprehensive, and we certainly appreciate all the hard work that's gone on. Councillor Shantz? Yeah,
thanks. Just thanks, Sheryl, for the presentation. I just wanted to add on to what Rod said, that this time has been difficult for us, but it's really nice to see when we take it as an opportunity. And I think that's what you've done, is turned it into a really good opportunity to reach out to people that we weren't reaching out to. So it'll bode well for the future. So thanks.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. There's no further comments, so we shall move on to other business. Does anyone have any other business? Seeing none, seeing no hands and no waving or anything. So our next meeting is August the 11th. So we'll look forward to that and some more information. So next item, we will call for adjournment, moved by Councillor Shantz, seconded by Councillor Foxton. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much. So we shall see you in August, if not in about 10 minutes.
Have a good summer to those of you that aren't joining us in 10 minutes.
Thanks, folks.